Hi everyone, welcome to AWS live training. I hope you are doing good and I hope you have already attended my demo class which we conducted on Saturday morning. So as we discussed in our demo class that our regular classes will be happening in the evening time. So today we'll be starting with AWS services. We'll talk about IAM and S3. So before we start with today's class, in case you are having any doubt from the previous classes, you can ask me. Otherwise, we'll be logging into my trial account and we'll be talking about IAM and S3 services. So before we start, let me quickly check if you guys can hear me properly or not. So can someone please confirm me over the chat if you guys can see my screen and hear me properly? Okay, it seems like I'm perfectly audible. So thanks Hari, Krishna and Rushi for the confirmation. So I think we can start now. So first of all, I need to log in into my account. As we discussed, like there are two type of user. One is root user and another one is IAM user. So I will be clicking on root user, and as you can see here, so for the root user, I need to provide the email address. So I am providing my email ID, and after that it will ask for the password, and it will also ask for a code, that is MFA code. How to set up this MFA, that's part of today's class. We'll be talking about that. Just give me a moment. So I am entering the code 400156. Okay, so I've logged in into my account and we'll be talking about IAM service. But before talking about IAM service, I think we can talk about S3. The reason being is while talking about IAM roles and other stuff, S3 will be used. So I would rather go with S3 first, and after that we'll be proceeding towards IAM. Okay. So S3 is nothing but a storage service. We can compare with the Google Drive. So just like you have a Google Drive account, you can upload your files there, you can create your folder, you can download the file, and you can even share your Google Drive files and folder with someone else, right? Same concept is there. One difference is that it is mainly used for programmatic access. That means as a normal like user will not go to upload file or download file, rather than we are programmatically accessing it. That means if any process is running, any code is running, the code can read the data from S3, it can write the output back into S3. Okay, so I will go to the search bar and I will search for S3 service and will click on that. Okay, so S3 has a concept of buckets. Buckets is, I would say, there is no similar concept in Google Drive. Bucket is, first of all, it's like a unique across all the accounts. That means if I am creating any bucket, you cannot create bucket with the same name. That's globally unique. That is made because suppose we are sharing a bucket with multiple accounts, multiple persons, right? So that it does not conflict with each other. That means as a consumer, suppose I want to read some data from your bucket. That means I will ask you your bucket name. That's why my bucket name, your bucket name cannot be same. Bucket name are always globally unique. So you can see here there are two buckets already available and you can ignore them completely because we will start from scratch. Okay. So I will do like I will click on create bucket. Okay. So as I explained, right, bucket name should be unique. So let me give some my first bucket and I need to give some number. I mean, in order to make it unique, right, I have to give something. So I will maybe give 007. I doubt whether that name will be unique, but let's give it a try. So the bucket name will be created with this name, and in this particular region, bucket will be created. So AWS provides its services in across the globe, and they have data centers in many countries, many cities. I was explaining uh, on the demo class in the demo class as well that in India they have data centers in Mumbai. So as at this point of time, as you can see that we have given selected some region that is nothing but US East region, and in that particular region bucket will be created. So the meaning is that your bucket will be available in that region, but you can access the data from anywhere in the world. It does not mean that I'm in India, so I will not be able to access the data, read or write the data. That will be possible. But only thing is that geographical location, the server where your data is located, that is available in US is one. Okay, so moving to the next thing. So when we are creating the bucket, right, there are a few settings which you need to choose here. I will explain about each and every setting so that you understand like what's the meaning of it. So you can see that there is a object ownership. That means if you are creating an object is nothing but a file. If you are creating a file inside a bucket, who will be the owner? For example, I have given you the access to store some data into my bucket. So that is fine. I'm the owner, but I have given the access to you. So in case you are creating any file, any folder, who will be the owner? As a bucket of the owner, I should be the owner of the file, or because I have given you the access, you should be the owner of the file, right? So there are two ways to do it. One thing is this one, ACL disabled, and another one is ACL enabled. So as AWS recommend that we should go with ACL disabled, so we'll be going with this one. After that, block public access setting for this bucket. Definitely, if I want to store some data into bucket, I don't want people are accessing it without my knowledge, right? It should be very, very secure. So that's why by default, you can see that all the public access is blocked by AWS. But you may be saying, you may be thinking that, okay, I have a requirement where I have some pictures of a, you can say public function. There was an Independence Day celebration and I have some pictures and videos of that function. And there is nothing to like, nothing to hide. It should be publicly accessible for everyone because we will put the photos and videos there and we will share this link with the normal public and they should be able to access it without any permission issue. In that case, you can remove this block all public access. That means you are making it publicly available. But that's completely a different scenario, right? Usually, if you are dealing with your personal data, your company's personal data, your client's personal data, definitely you will not make it publicly accessible. And that's why by default it is blocked. And that's a good practice. Only in some special cases we will remove that. The next is bucket versioning. In case you are having a file in the bucket and tomorrow you are making some changes in the file and you want to upload again. Okay, first of all, you can only store the data into the S3 buckets. You cannot modify the data over there. It's not a text editor or file editor that you open the file and modify this. You can't do that. That's why the only way to update your files is to replace the file. That means you have some file you uploaded into S3 bucket and now you want to make some change. That means you will make the change on your local file, whichever is there on your local laptop or system. You double click on in, edit the file, and then you can upload the file again into S3. That can be possible. Now the point is, when you are uploading the file again, will it replace the existing file? That's a good point, right? It all depends upon your requirement. If you want to only retain that latest file, you can keep the bucket versioning as disabled. But sometimes the requirement is that as and when I am uploading a new file with the same name, I don't want to replace it. Rather, I want to maintain the history. That means my older file should be there. It will never delete your older files. Your all the version of the files are available on your bucket. Okay, so if you want that scenario, if you want that feature, you can enable the versioning. So I am doing it because I will show you shortly how to upload the file, how to maintain multiple versions and all. That's why I am enabling it. Okay, and almost we are, I think, done. There are tags that is optional, but I will explain about it because any resource you create in AWS, it's not only about S3. You are creating any file, any bucket, any server, any other service. It will ask you to add the tags, and tags are always optional. Tag is nothing but to identify something. For example, there is a there is a college and there are suppose some event is going on, and for that particular event we have created few teams. So we have given some team. One team is team alpha, second team is team beta, third is gamma team, or we can say like green team, blue team, yellow team. So this is just for our identification, right? Does not mean that yellow team is more stronger than green. It's not nothing like that. It's just a name given to a particular team. Same thing is here. If you want to give some tag, maybe suppose this bucket will be used by a particular team. So you want to associate it with that. There is no technical benefit of having a tag. It's only for a identification purpose. So I will add a tag and I would say team name, and value I can give alpha. Okay. Another thing I would say team captain, or in term of projects like I would say team lead, and here I can give name suppose Dheeraj. So I added two details, team name and team lead, and I can come down, but there is no technical significance of it. The only benefit is if tomorrow someone is coming to this bucket, by looking at the tag, they can understand, okay, this bucket is for alpha team and Dheeraj is the team lead. And if you don't provide it, it's absolutely fine. Okay, coming to the next section, encryption. In yesterday's demo, someone asked me how secure is the data on the cloud. And I explained that data is very, very secure on the cloud because everything you do and every data you store, that is completely encrypted. Encrypted means it will be stored in a non-human readable format for the people who do not have access to it. It's like I am standing on my house roof and my friend is standing on his house roof and there are three, four houses in between. If I am talking to him directly by speaking, right, anyone who is standing in the middle houses, they can also understand what we are talking about. If I'm talking directly, not on phone, right? But if we are talking in some code language, then only I can understand and only my friend can understand what we are talking about. Anyone who is in the middle, they can listen, they can hear to us, but they cannot understand what we are talking about because we are talking in some coded language. Same thing is here. Your data will be stored in an encrypted format. That means if anyone by mistake or by hook and crook, if they get access to your data, they won't be able to understand that. So that's very important thing. So you can see that what type of encryption you want. First one is server side encryption. Server side encryption means as a user, you will simply upload a simple text, non-encrypted, because you are saying that, hey AWS, please take care of encryption because I'm not aware about it. That means you are dependent on the server to encrypt your data, and there is no harm in that. AWS will provide perfect, you can say, encryption. Sometime it's even possible that if, okay, someone says that I don't want to be dependent on AWS, rather I will encrypt my data by myself. If that is the case, you can do it. There is no issue. In that case, you have to encrypt your data, and then only you can copy into the bucket. But the best practice is you can go with server side encryption, which we are doing here. So this is all about creating a bucket. I think we have talked about few settings, and I will click on create bucket. Hopefully it will give me the error, because that name, I doubt whether it will be unique or not. Okay, that's good. We are able to create it. So my first bucket hyphen 007, that has been successfully created. You can see that it is created in US East North Virginia region, and access is access and objects are not public. You notice one thing for this bucket, CACD demo website, because it's for a website, and you notice that access is public, because if it's not public, how will people access the website? Because the website data, whatever pages are displayed, whatever photos are displayed on the website, those are stored inside this bucket. That's why I have made that bucket public explicitly for that specific purpose. Otherwise, in normal scenario, we will always keep the bucket and object are not public. Okay, so I hope you understood little bit about S3. Before we proceed, right, I will quickly conduct a demo just to get to know, like, are you having any doubt or not. So give me a moment. So I'm conducting a poll in the YouTube chat. Please respond to that. It is about, you have any doubt till now or not. In case you have any doubt, you are uh, welcome to ask your question in the chat window, and I will be happy to answer that. Okay, so we have a question from Hari Krishna. He's asking, like, is it similar to GitHub repository, sir? No, I would say GitHub is only for your code, not for your data. GitHub is definitely a. I understood why you are asking this question, because even in GitHub you can change your code and GitHub will maintain the entire code history. So I understand this is similar to that, but the major difference between GitHub and S3 is GitHub is only for your code. If you are writing your project code in C, C++, Java, Python, Node.js, anything, that type of thing we maintain in the GitHub, and your data, input data, right, that we maintain in your bucket. So I hope that clarifies your doubt. S3 is capable of dealing with terabytes and petabytes of data. On the other side, if we talk about GitHub, right, that's only for maintaining the code. That means it's not expected from you that you are keeping terabytes and petabytes of data over there, because code is just a text file. It should not go beyond few MB of uh, code. Okay, that's good. So let me quickly check the status for the poll. Uh, 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 okay, so 9 people have voted and everyone said there is no doubt till now. That's good. For the remaining who did not vote, I'm assuming that there is no doubt from your side as well. And we can go to the next section. So I'm coming back to my browser. Okay, so bucket is created. Now I will show you how to upload the file in this. Just like in Google Drive, we can create folder, we can create, not create, but we can upload files. So you can see here, there is option of upload, and now you can see add file or add folder. So I will click on add files, and let me add some file here. Let me check if I have some text file. So I have some Excel sheets, or you can say CSV files. You can see that sample underscore employee underscore data dot CSV. This file contains some employee related data. You don't have to worry about what type of data it is, because later on when we will conduct our Python and PySpark classes, I will show you how to read this file, how to process this file. But as of now, just think about, we are simply uploading a file. So select this file, click on open, and now you can click on upload. It's very easy, just like your Google Drive. So the file has been successfully uploaded. You can click on close and you can see some details. This is my file name. The type of the file is CSV. Last modified is this one, just like 1 minute back. And size is 347 bytes, because very small file as of now. For actual projects, you may find very bigger file, but for testing purpose, for learning purpose, I have uploaded very small file. Okay. Now there is no way to open this file. As I said, it's only a storage. It's not a file editor. It's not a file explorer. If you want, you can download the file. So you click on this file, right? Then you can see that there are few details given. This is the owner, my email address, right? That is the owner of this file, and this is the region, last modified time, size is there, and key is nothing but file name they call it as key, and S3 URI is the path. In case any Python code, any server wants to read this file, they would need this S3 URI. S3 colon double slash your bucket name. And as I explained you, bucket name is globally unique. That means you can share this path with anyone. If they have access, then they can access it. Just sharing the path does not mean that they will access. How to provide the access, that I will be explaining when we will talk about IAM. But as of now, you can see that there are S3 and other details are also here. Main thing is you can download this file if you want, and you can it will be downloaded on your local system. Okay, I hope that is clear. We will go back and I will do one thing. I will edit this file and I will upload then modified file. So I will go to my local file system. I think my local file system is not visible to you because only browser is visible, but that's absolutely fine, don't worry about it. I am just uploading the file again, you can see that. So I will click on upload and add files. I will choose the file from my local, from my local file system. So I am uploading the same file again. Okay, so I will click on upload. Now since I have uploading the file again, will it show me two versions of the file? You can see that it's only showing one file. There is no much detail, but you can see this one also, show versions, and that is disabled. Just click on that, and after clicking on this, it will show you all the versions of the file available here. You can see now sample underscore emp underscore data dot csv, and last modified is 1801. Just now you can see the time, just 1 minute back. And if you look at the down, 1758, 3 minutes back, because 3 minutes back we uploaded the first version of our file. So we uploaded twice, both the versions are available here. If I will upload once more, you will see three versions here. So you can select this particular version, and if you want, you can even check other details like this, and you can download the file as well. I mean, you can download a particular version. Suppose you said, okay, I want that older version because now on my local I have updated the file and the older version is not available. You can come here and you can always select a particular version and you can download that. You can download as this file. Okay, so if you want to delete a specific version, you can do that, and if you want to delete all the versions, you can even do that as well. Okay, So it's completely under your control how many versions you want to keep, how many versions you want to maintain. And not only manual, when you are reading this file programmatically, you can list all the versions, and out of available version you can choose you want to read the latest version of the file or you want to read the older version of file. That's completely possible. Okay, so friends, with this one we are done with S3. I hope you understand what S3 is all about. I am stopping here for 2 minutes. In case you are having any doubt, please type in the chat window. I will be back in 2 minutes. I will have a glass of water. I will come back and then we'll take your doubts. Okay, friends, I'm back. Let me have a look at the questions, and after that we'll be starting with our another service, that is AWS. So there's a question from Shandesh. The question is, bucket and instances are the same? No, instances usually used for servers. Server are known as instances. Bucket is nothing but a, you can say, a global folder, I would say. It's a storage thing. So there are two things. One is storage, one is processing. So S3 is about storage. Instances are about servers, where you process your data, where you run some process, where you execute some code. Does that answer your question, Sandesh? We have another question from Rohit. The question is, any limitation what files format is supported and size? As far as size is there, I mean, as far as only storage is there, you can upload anything. You can upload any size of the file. They are capable of holding terabytes, petabytes, zettabytes of data. But coming to file format, it depends, like your processing thing is capable of reading that format or not, right? Suppose you uploaded a file in a different format and now you have written a Python code. The Python code is not able to read the file in that particular format. That can be a challenge. But as far as storage is there, no one is stopping you. You can upload anything, any image, any file, any CSV, any movie, anything. Click on upload. Whatever file is available on your local system, select that, click on upload, it will be uploaded. There is no issue with the upload. But after uploading, what exactly you want to do with that file, because ultimate purpose is data analytics, right? So the process which will be reading that file, if that is capable of reading in that format, then definitely you can go ahead. Okay, next question is from Purnima. How to close the server or instance when is no use? So Purnima, today's class is not about instances or server. Tomorrow's class is about that. So I will show you how to launch a server, and when it is not in use, how to stop it. Those things we will be exploring practically in tomorrow's class. Okay, I think we are good to start with the next service. So the next one is IAM service and very important service of AWS. I will tell you, in AWS every single thing you do, starting from opening the console, clicking on anything, accessing your S3 bucket, uploading any file, downloading any file, deleting any version of the file, and not only related to S3, anything else, starting with launching EC2 instance, stopping EC2 instance, stopping a server, starting a server, terminating a server, everything, every action you perform in AWS is completely controlled by IAM. That stands for identity and access management. That means, first of all, who you are, that's your identity, and what type of accesses you have. That is completely controlled by IAM. So I will I will search for IAM, and you can see this tagline: manage access to AWS resources. So we'll click on IAM service, and the very first thing we will talk about is how to create users. Because as a root user, I can log in into my AWS account at any point of time, but you know, root user has full access. That means I can create user, I can create server, I can delete server, I can do anything. But definitely I cannot share my email address and password with all the team members, because in that case every team member will get full access. Someone will launch 100 server, that's not good, right? Ultimately it will be chargeable to my credit card. So from a company point of view, the people who are on the top, like manager or admin, right, they will have root access. Apart from them, anyone joining the team as a developer, as a data analyst, as a tester, for them we will create IAM user, because we will provide them specific access. I know that this developer will be mainly working on server and S3, so I will provide access only to these two services. Although AWS has more than 200 services, but out of that, I will be providing access to those two services. And even in those two services, you can further classify. In S3, shall this user need to write some data, or shall I give access to that user about deleting of the data also? I would say no. This is very junior guy, developer guy, recently joined. He should be only able to access it. He should be only able to read the data, not writing, not creating new file. Neither he or she should be able to delete the existing file. That's completely possible. Access is available at very granular level. That means you can define at very minute level also. You can say that out of these five things under S3, this user should be able to do only this thing. I just want people should be able to see the bucket name, and I don't want people look at the data inside the bucket. Even that's possible. So we will grant only that type of permission. Okay. So let's start with creating our first IAM user. On the left side, you can see that there's option of users, or you can see here also user is there, right? So I will click on user, and you can see that there is already one available user with the name IAM Neeraj. Although this is my name, but this is different from the root user. The permissions to this user are completely limited, and my main user, my email address, root user, that has every permission, right? So forget about this IAM Neeraj. We'll create a new user from scratch so that you will understand that. Okay, so I will click on create user, and will use some name. It is not mandatory to start with IAM, but in order to identify, right, because I can give IAM underscore Krishna. Okay, so this is the username. Now, this user should be able to connect to your AWS account programmatically, as I was explaining you, that you can read S3 data or you can write S3 data programmatically also using Java or something. Java, Python, any programming language. But you want to provide this user access to AWS console also. That means this user should be able to log in into the UI or not. That's also configurable. If you say this user will never log in into the UI, he or she will only run some program on their server and they will only programmatically access, then you can skip this also. But usually we provide this AWS management console so that everyone can log in into the console and they can do their work. So you can provide this access. After that, you can click on I want to create an IAM user password, auto generated password, or if you want to provide your own, you can do that. I am providing my own password. Okay. And after that, user must create a new password at next sign in, because as a owner, as a root user, I am creating a user for Krishna and I am setting the password. But I am giving the flexibility to Krishna that as and when he will log in first time with his temporary password, he has to change the password. It's mandatory. If that is the case, keep this as enabled because this is recommended. Or if you don't want to use that, you are saying, okay, I have already set up the password and let's use this. Why to unnecessarily change? So in that case, you can even remove it. But as a best practice, let's let them change, because I don't want that all the team members are having a same password or common password. Then that can be misused, right? Let every team member change the password as per their preference, and then they can use their own changed password, right? So we are all good. Click on next. And the next is permission. Because if I'm creating a user without any access, then there is no meaning. There is no point. If you are allowing someone to enter in a particular, I would say, uh, some some fun club, and after entering into the club, you are saying that okay, hey, you cannot play that game, you cannot enter the swimming pool. Then he will say, what's the point? Why did you allow me to enter inside it? If you don't provide me any facility, then there is no meaning of entering into that particular clubhouse, right? Same thing is here. If you are creating a user, at least give some access, something, maybe minimum. There's a concept in AWS that we should always go with very minimum access. That means if the user need to work on S3, only provide S3 access. If the user need to only read the data from S3, only provide read access. Never provide the full access to everything. That's not a good practice. Tomorrow, if you feel okay, as of now, as of today, you are giving only read permission to this user, but after 1 week, after 1 month, now the user is writing some data. He wants to write some data into the bucket. In that case, he does not have access because you did not provide at the time of creation. But you can come on this page at any point of time later on, and you can add more permissions. You can add permission, remove permission at any point of time. So whenever required, just do that. So there are multiple ways to add the permission. The first way is add the user to a group. That would be more convenient, because suppose I have a group of developers, because I already have 5 developers in my team, and as per their need, as per my project's need, I have already granted some access to the entire group. Now one new developer has joined today, and now I want to give the similar access to that user also. So instead of giving the permission separately for that new user, I will simply add that user to the group. That would be more convenient, more easy for me. And this user will get the same access as other developers are having. It's like I have a WhatsApp group and someone recently joined and he's asking that can I get to know the details about upcoming classes, course content, timing, and everything. Instead of providing the detail to him or to her, the most easy way is I will add the user to the WhatsApp group, and ultimately whatever messages I will post on my group, the new user will also receive that. Same thing is here. That's one way. Second way is copy permission. That means one user is there and that user is having some permission, and this new user wants to get exactly the same access. So we can copy from someone. Like in this case, one user IAM Neeraj is already there. So I can copy all the permission from IAM Neeraj to this new user IAM Krishna. That's possible. And the last but not the least option is attach policies directly. That means I don't want to take some access from the group. Neither I want to copy from someone else. I want fresh access for this user. So I will click on that. And now if you will come down, there are 1,000+ type of permissions are available already customized by AWS for different services. If you want for S3, I will type S3 and let's search, and you can see that Amazon S3 full access. Full access means if I will provide this permission, this user will be able to do anything. This user can create bucket, create file, upload file, download file, delete file, everything. But suppose I don't want to provide full access, I will go with read only. You see this Amazon S3 read only access. Let's start with this. Later on, if required, we'll add more permission. So I will select this checkbox. And you can even take multiple permissions, not only one by one. You can take multiple. For example, this user tomorrow he or she needs to access some database also. There's a Redshift, right? Redshift is a database. So what we will do is, let me do one thing. I will search with Redshift, and you can see this Amazon Redshift full access, Amazon Redshift query editor, and there are many other things. And you can find some read only access also. Amazon Redshift read only access. Suppose I am providing this also. So as of now, at the current time, I want to provide two access: S3 read only and Redshift read only. Remaining permission will check it later whenever required. Okay. So we are good. Clicking on next, and you can see here Amazon Redshift read only access, Amazon S3 read only access, and IAM user change password. Because you remember, we checked that checkbox. That means this user can perform three things. This user can read data from S3, it can read the data from Redshift, and this user is also having permission to change his password. These three permissions are there, and you can review. Username is I am Krishna, and console password is we have customized the password. And required password reset, yes, he has to change the password first time. These are the permissions. And tags, you remember we created some tags while creating the S3 bucket, and I told you tags are not some technical stuff. Tags are only for some identification purpose. If you want to skip it, you can do that. There is no harm. If you want to add something, you can do that. So we'll skip at this point of time and click on create user. You can see that first of all, console sign in URL, because if you will simply provide username and password, then where exactly the user will log in? So definitely you have to provide the URL. The username is this, password is this. If you want to see the password, click on show. You can see that very simple password. Okay. So these three details you can copy here from manually like this, or you can email sign in instruction. Ultimate purpose is you need to share these details with the new user by email or something. Then only the new user will be able to log in, right? So you can copy this, share with your new recently joined team member, and he should be able to log in. Okay, that's all about creating the user IAM user in AWS. I am stopping here. I will quickly have a look at the chat window. In case you guys have any doubts, you can ask me. There's a question from Hari Krishna. Is it possible to modify the permission after the user created? I think I have already answered that. Absolutely yes. You can come back. You can add more permission. You can even remove existing permission. Suppose you today added for Redshift, but tomorrow you realize that Redshift access is not required. You can remove it. If you want to add more permission, you can do that. Another question is from others. The question is Amazon Redshift is what a kind of database? It's a, I would say, relational database. If you are aware about, there are SQL database and relational database and NoSQL database, right? So to answer your question, this is relational database. And that's okay. There is a message from Mazid. He's asking feedback link. I didn't understand your point. Are you asking about the poll which I conduct, whether you have any doubt or not? Are you asking about that? Or if you have any specific feedback, right, you can always send to me on WhatsApp. I can definitely try to improve on that. Okay, so if there is no further doubt, we are good to explore other stuff. So I'm coming back and we'll talk about MFA, multi-factor authentication. As we explained earlier, if someone get to know about your username and password, then that's not a good idea. They can launch a lot of server, they can do something which you are, which you know will not be happy. So along with username and password, there is another way to enable multi-factor authentication, right? So let me do one thing. I will sign out from this user, from my root user, and I will log in as a IAM user. So I will click on, I'm Krishna. Let me check it out. Okay, I think that's not required. I can do it from here only. I was thinking that in order to enable MFA, I need to log in with that user. That's not required. You can do from here also. Enable, this one is, uh, okay, I think I need to log in because individual user can enable their MFA because I am logged in as my username, not the Krishna username, right? So I will not be able to do it. No worries. I will click on my name and I will sign out. And now I will log in with my IAM user. There was a username, if you remember, IAM Neeraj. I will log with that user. So I will log in as IAM user, IAM Neeraj. Next, uh, sign in. Okay, now try to understand. Earlier, I was logged in as a root user, so I could do anything. Right now, I am logged in as a IAM user, so I have very limited permission. I will go to IAM to enable my MFA, IAM. So I will click on that. You can see that they are clearly showing in a red color. They are saying security recommendation. So what they are telling is they are telling that root user has MFA. They are telling that root has successfully enabled MFA, but as a IAM user, if you want, you can also enable. Add multi-factor authentication for yourself to improve security for this account. Because ultimately, if using your IAM credential, if someone is launching a lot of server, that's ultimately come to the owner only, right? There can be multiple user, but you are part of the same AWS account. Ultimately it will be unnecessary charge to the owner, right? So we can add MFA. There are many ways to do it. You can even buy some hardware, but why to buy? We can achieve the same thing with help of a mobile app. So you can see that security key or hardware token you need to buy, which is not required. Will go with authenticator app, and there are a lot of authenticator app. List, complete big list. First of all, give some name. I would say Neeraj underscore MFA. Click on next, and it will, you can see that. See a list of compatible applications. Let me open it, and you will find a lot of applications. You can see here virtual authenticator apps, right? And for Android phone, this one, Twilio, Authy Authenticator, Duo Mobile, LastPass, Microsoft Authenticator, Google Authenticator, and Semantic VIP. These are the different apps. You can choose as per your choice. I have gone with Google Authenticator. It's very easy. Or go to your mobile phone, whether you are using iPhone or Android, and install any of these apps. Okay, and then come back to here. Okay, once you have installed the app on your phone, there's a plus button over there. You click on the plus button and it will show you the option of scanning a QR code. So you can click on this one, show QR code, and scan from your mobile app. You can do it from there. Once you scan it, it will display a 6-digit code which you can enter here. After 30 seconds, it will again change the code, enter the code again here. So first code and then second code. And after that, click on add MFA. It will be added. You want, I can show you right away. I am scanning it on my phone. First scan is done. And I will put the code 389. Okay, the code is changed. 5515075. Okay, next code will change after 30 seconds. We'll put that also. Till then, just wait. So the next code appears after every 30 seconds. So the new code is 947502 and add MFA. Okay, that's good. Okay, so successfully added. You can see that. Multi-factor authentication device type is virtual because we are using app. This one is the name for your identification and created on just now. That's all. You have successfully enabled your MFA. That's very important thing. Okay. So any doubt on MFA, I think it's quite simple. But still, if you have any doubt, you can ask me. Otherwise, we'll be moving to the next topic, that is user groups. I will quickly check my chat window in case any doubt. I will answer that. There's a question from Harshit. He's asking, is this video recorded? Yes, this is auto recorded actually, because the link you are using for attending the live class, the same link you can use at later point of time to watch the recording. At any point of time in the night, tomorrow, click on the same link and you can watch the recording from the beginning. Okay, I hope that answered your question. Okay, let me quickly conduct a poll just to check. There is a question from Harshit. Sir, is the AIM user creation and using free of cost? Yes, absolutely. You can create IAM user. There is no charges for that. Charges are only for the resources used. IAM user is not a storage or compute resource. You can create that. And you can even launch a server. You can even use that server within your the limit. Tomorrow we'll talk about how to launch a server. But to answer your question, it's completely free of cost. Whatever I will show during our training program is completely free of cost. Okay. One more thing which I forgot to ask in the beginning, like how many of you have already created your trial account? That was very important question which I forgot. Let me end this poll and we'll start another poll. I am starting another poll. Please respond to that. Just to get some idea like how many people have already created the trial account. Because without trial account, simply watching the video or attending the live class will not help you. You should create the account and you should do it practically on your trial account. Okay, so four people have voted. 50-50 is there. Out of four, 50% has created, 50% have not created. Six votes again, 50-50. Seven. Okay, anyway friends, so my recommendation is you create your trial account at the earliest so that you can do your things practically. Okay, coming back to our next discussion, we'll talk about user group. So I have already given the example earlier that we can create a group and we can add multiple members to that group. The benefit would be I can provide the permission, I can add or remove the permission directly on the group, and that will be applicable to all the members. Let's quickly do that. So create group and give some name. I would say developers. Now it's optional if you want to add any member, or if you want to just create the group now and you want to add the member later, you can also do that. But let's do it together. I want to add Krishna and Neeraj both to the developer group. And coming to the permission, whatever permission Neeraj and Krishna are already having, that will be still there. On top of that, you can add some permission on the group, and that will also be applicable to Neeraj and Krishna. So let's search for some service. What service? There is service SNS, which we will be exploring in our upcoming classes. I am searching for SNS, and you can see that Amazon SNS read only, Amazon SNS full access. For example, let's give full access. Okay, and that's all. Create group. So I created a group. I added some permission. Now let's do one thing. Let's go back to our user, which we created Krishna, right? Krishna, and let's see the permission. Uh, 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 What is there? Okay, because I was logged in as my IAM group, right? IAM user. So as a IAM user, I am not able to see the permission for other users because I'm not the root now. So I can do one thing. I can log in back as a root user, and then we can do everything. Okay. So it depends actually. If you are creating users, creating groups, giving some permission, you should log in as a root user because these are root level stuff. But if you are doing a development activity, you are running some code, you are reading the data, that means you are working as a developer. In that case, you should log in as a IAM user. So I'm logging in back as a root user. So I can perform any users, groups, permission related activities. So give me a moment. I will quickly log in as a root user. So I will click on root user and providing Neeraj Zune 2023. Next, next MFA code I would need. Give me a moment. 310499. Okay, so we will check the permission for Krishna, right? IAM. I want to show you that whatever permission we added to Krishna, on along with that, there will be one more permission that came through the group. That's my purpose. So click on Krishna and you can see third this one. Amazon SNS full access. And you can see this attached Y. For other permission, attached Y is directly because when we created the user, we directly attached to the user. But this permission, SNS permission, is not directly associated with Krishna, rather, it is coming through a developer group. That means if I will remove the permission from the group, it will also be removed for Krishna. But other permission, those are directly associated with Krishna, those will not be removed. Okay, I hope it's clear to you what is user and what are user groups. Moving to the next topic, that is roles. What is roles? When you are logging in as a human being, we call them as a user. But even if you are, suppose there's a server and you are executing some code on that server. So that server is ultimately trying to do something. The server is trying to read some file from S3. Now the question is that server allowed to do that? In that case also IAM will come into the picture. So the permissions are not only for human being, the permissions are also for the servers. In this particular server, is it allowed to create a new file in the bucket? Is it allowed to delete an existing file in the bucket or not? For that one, we have the concept of roles. So we create a role, we give some permission to that role, and whenever you launch a server, which I will demonstrate tomorrow, you can associate the role with that server. That means it does not matter who launched that server. As a user, I can launch the server today, but I can leave the team tomorrow. I can leave this company. I can join some other company. Then what will happen? So even the user has gone, it's completely fine because there is a special role associated with the server, and the server can do only those things which are allowed for that server. And same way, You can add or remove the permission for that server at any point of time. So we'll click on role and I will click on create a new role. And now, as I told you, roles are for specific services. So you can see that I can choose EC2. EC2 is nothing but remote server. Again and again, I am doing saying server, right? That is nothing but EC2, which stands for Elastic Compute Cloud. So, friends, we are running out of time, but just give me 5 more minutes. We'll try to close it within 5 minutes. So EC2, for EC2 service, I would like to create a role. You can create for other services also. You can see the Lambda. Lambda is also part of our training program, which we will be exploring most probably on Wednesday. And not only these two services, these two are very common. That's why you can see that common use case. Apart from these two, there is a big list here. And you can see that there are a lot of services there. So you can create a role for any AWS service. As of now, we will be creating for EC2. Click on next. Add some permission. What type of access you want to give to the server? Search it here. I will search for S3. Enter. And I will give full access. This one. That means this server can do anything on S3. And I will click on next. Okay. Give some role name. It's up to you. I would say role for EC2 server. Just give some meaningful name. So right now we are creating only role. Until or unless you are not creating a server, this role has no meaning. Right? So once the server will be launched and this role will be associated with this, the server will get all these permissions. Okay. So you can give some description. It's already given. And tags, as you always know, it's optional. And that's all. Click on create role. Very simple. The main difference between a role and a user is role is for services and IAM user is for human being. That's the main difference. Ultimate purpose is same. If a user is logged in, what type of activity, what type of action the user can perform, that is controlled by IAM user permission. Similarly, what type of things, what type of action a server can do, that is controlled by a IAM role. I hope it is clear to all of you. Okay. The last topic for today is policy. As of now, you notice one thing, that I'm searching for something, searching for S3, searching for SNS, searching for Redshift, and something comes up, and I select that. Those are your AWS managed policies. AWS has already created some policies, some ready-made policies for you. That's why if I type here something S3, you will find something will come up. You can see that. S3 full access, S3 read-only access, and many more things are there. And you can notice one thing, with all these policies, there is an icon. Icon is there. And on the right side, type AWS managed. Because this permission is completely managed by AWS. But as I told you, that you can further customize it. Right now, suppose you are going with this S3 full access, or I would say S3 read only. We have S3 read only. It's there, right? So under S3 read only, it will provide read only access to all the buckets. You can have 4 buckets, right? But you are saying that no, 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 I don't want to give for all the buckets. I would like to give only for a particular bucket. And in that bucket, there are multiple folder. I would like to give access to particular folder also. That means you don't want to go with the policy provided by AWS. Rather, you want to customize your own policy. You can do that. Okay. So there is a option on the right side. Click on create policy and then search the service for which service you want to customize it. I will do for S3. Okay. Now, when you say S3 read only, under read only, there are a lot of type. You see here. First of all, list. So you want to list bucket. I told you, right? You just want that the user should be able to list the bucket, but he or she should not be able to see the data inside it. You can do that. In that case, give only list bucket permission. Under read, you can see there are 53 permissions are there. So under read, I can select very few limited one. I would say get object. Get object is nothing but reading the data actually. Okay. And there are many more stuff if you want to choose. The point is you can customize, you have better control, you have full control. Out of 53, you want to give only 2 3 type of permission, you choose it. Under right, you want to give, it's up to you, you can give that. You want to give the permission of deleting a bucket, or you want to give permission of deleting the object. I will give this delete object. They can only delete the file, they can only delete the folder, they cannot delete the bucket. I'm not giving them permission to delete the bucket. Similarly, do you want to give them the permission to create a bucket? No, I don't want that. I will create the bucket myself. I am giving them the permission to create the file, to upload the file. I'm not giving the permission to create a bucket. So I have better control here. So you can select as per your choice, and then you want to apply this permission on all the buckets or to a specific bucket. Recommendation is you should provide to a specific bucket. Don't blindly provide for all the buckets. That's not a good practice, right? So if either go with all, which is not a good idea, or go with the specific one. So I will go with specific one. Okay. So after that, select the bucket. So add ARN to restrict access. So bucket name, no, I will not give any bucket name. So I need the bucket ARN. You see that bucket ARN. If you remember, when we created the bucket, there was a concept of ARN. I will show you. Okay, give me a moment. We'll search for S3 and we'll quickly copy the ARN from there. S3. So every bucket has a ARN. ARN is AWS resource name, the complete name of the resource basically. That includes your bucket, your 12-digit account number also. So my first bucket 007, which we created today, and you can click on properties. You will find all the details. ARN is here, this one. Click on this copy icon to avoid any mistake. Bucket ARN copied. Coming back here and paste it here. That's all. Add ARN and done. So I am giving access specific to this bucket. Now coming to object, would you like to give to some specific folder? I don't want. I am giving permission all the folders within this bucket. So that's fine. And click on next. Okay. You want to give some meaningful name to policy. I would say my customized S3 permissions. I am not going with AWS provided. I am customizing for myself. Here you can provide some description. It's up to you. And tags are not required. Click on create policy. That's good. So this step is only creating the policy. Try to understand. We are not associating this policy with anyone till now. We only created the policy. But now it's up to you. You want to add this policy to a user, to a role, to the group, you can do that. Let's quickly try that. We'll go to users group, and there was a developer group, right? I will add this policy there. So permissions, this group already have SNS full access. I will add one more permission, customized policy. So attach policy and search with that name, what was customized, the first one, my customized S3 permissions, and click on add permissions. That's all. So we created our own customized policy and we have attached it with your group. You can notice one difference. The icon is not here because this is not AWS provided. In the type, the first one is customer managed, second one is AWS managed, and that is the difference. Okay, friends, I hope you understood today's topic, that is IAM role and S3, and we just crossed our 1 hour of time. Tomorrow onwards, we'll try to maintain within 1 hour. But in case you're having any doubt till now, please ask. There's a question from Sidhu. Sir, I missed first class, so within 2 days I will create. Okay. So first of all, go through the first class because that's very important class. Without that, it would be difficult for you to follow other classes. So you can still click on the link as I explained earlier. You can click on the same link and you can watch the video from beginning. Similarly, for today's class, in case you want to revisit, In case you joined only half of the meeting, you can again watch from the beginning. So friends, I'm done from my side. In case you're having any doubt, you can ask me. Otherwise, we are good for today. Tomorrow link I will be sending tomorrow morning. Tomorrow we'll be talking about creating a launching a server and other concepts regarding those servers. Okay. Thanks everyone for joining. Thanks for making it interactive. See you guys tomorrow. Thank you.